This is a battery. You could use it to charge your phone, your tablet, even your laptop. But what if you needed more? What if the power went out and you needed to power this lamp? Well, this is a power station. You could use it to charge your phone, your tablet, even your laptop. But you could also power lamps, electric blankets, CPAP machines, many small devices that need a standard AC wall outlet. But what if it were even bigger? What if it could power more than just small appliances and devices? What if it could solve a problem that has existed for half a century, that has affected millions of homes, a problem many homeowners don't even know they have? What if a battery could power the whole house? Batteries have come a long way over the last decade, both in capability and affordability. They're not just for phones and laptops anymore, they're in cars, planes, and homes. I would argue that they have become an essential for every household, including yours. Let me tell you why.
But what's been happening in Spain and Portugal? Well, electricity has mostly been restored a day after a massive power cut. It caused disruption to millions of shops, homes and businesses. It paralysed transport networks in both countries.
An Iberian Peninsula-wide blackout delivered a stark reminder of how dependent on power modern life is.
At the end of last month, the power grid in Spain, Portugal, and parts of France went down. As of writing this video, they still haven't determined what exactly caused the outage. But if social media is to be believed, the people of Spain, Portugal, and France couldn't care the reason, as they had a magical day of freedom from technology. My feed was filled with clips of carefree Europeans soaking in the sun, playing in the park, and enjoying how life used to be, how it should be. But that's social media. The reality is, for millions, it was at the very least a nuisance. For some, it was an emergency. Any power outage has the potential to not only disrupt your daily life, but also put you in danger. For one thing, you could lose communication. It used to be that when the power went out, your phone still worked, as the hardwired landlines didn't draw power from the home, but the phone line itself. So as long as the telephone exchange, where phone lines are routed, has power, every landline phone will continue to work. But the second your phone requires additional power to work, that landline power becomes meaningless. And let's be honest, how many of us even have a landline anymore? Now, of course, having these at the ready to charge your phone could be enough. Granted, some only have a couple charges in them, and if you're trying to keep one or more phones charged solely off of one of these, it's not going to last very long. But it's not just communication you lose in a power outage. There are health and safety issues that could affect anyone. Without power, your fridge can only keep food cold for so long before it begins to spoil. Eating unrefrigerated food can be extremely dangerous. After just 4 hours, according to the USDA, your fridge is not going to keep in enough cold to keep your food safe during a power outage, which means throwing away a lot of food after just a few hours, and that can be very costly. You may also have a medical device that needs power. Those with sleep apnea will need their CPAP machine powered. Those with certain medications will need to keep them refrigerated. Hearing aids with rechargeable batteries will need to be charged. The list could go on. I'm getting a power outage right now. The list could go on forever. Now, there is an alternative to batteries that people have been using for decades that you may already have, and it's not this little guy, it's a generator. And generators, primarily powered by gasoline, diesel, propane, or natural gas, have a lot of advantages over batteries. They are cheap, they last forever. Even a basic generator can last for decades with pretty basic maintenance. And they provide instant, endless energy so long as you have access to fuel. But they also have negatives. For one, they are extremely loud, like potentially hearing damage loud. 2, they do require the fuel, which can be tough to acquire during an emergency if you don't have it directly piped into your home or if you don't have enough stored. And 3, if I wanted to power this light right here, and I brought a generator into this room, and I turned it on, it would kill me. Generators, like your gas-powered car, create exhaust, and that exhaust will include carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, hydrocarbons, particulate matter from the fuel. All of these things are toxic, not only to the environment, but to us, to human beings. It's why every portable generator comes with a warning to only use outdoors or in well-ventilated spaces. During every natural disaster, there are people who lose their lives because they brought a generator inside their home when the power went out. I cannot stress enough how dangerous that is. And I know why people do it. Because there's another fatal flaw in generators, and that is that they require airflow and are not waterproof. If you put a generator outside in the rain and have no cover for it or means to keep it dry, it can be flooded and stop working, or worse, it could electrocute you. It could short and catch on fire, or potentially overload the system and cause a fire in your home. You should not run a generator during a weather event. Not during a hurricane, not during a snowstorm, not during a tornado. Generators are only safe after the weather has passed, not during it. Batteries are the only safe power source to have on inside your home during a natural disaster or not. Just like your phone, they do not produce any exhaust, so there aren't any toxic fumes to inhale. But of course, any battery does have inherent risk, whether it's big enough to power your home or small enough to power your phone or inside your phone. If they are overcharged, severely overheated, oversaturated with water, or lit on fire, they can combust. During the fires in California at the start of the year, electric vehicles were catching fire and exploding due to the heat. I saw Anderson Cooper standing like 10 feet from a car right as it exploded.
There's a lot of explosions also, obviously, as vehicles ignite, gas tanks explode. That car exploded probably about 20 minutes ago when we first got to this location.
No power source is 100% safe. But batteries are the safer option when used correctly and maintained in the proper environment over generators used inside your home. Do not bring a generator inside your home. Now, all of that being said, if you are going to buy a battery for your home, you may be wondering, which one should I get? There are a number of manufacturers that make these larger than average batteries, or as they call them, power stations. This is the Explorer 300 from Jackery, a California-based company. This power bank is from Anker, another very popular brand, especially for phone chargers and cables. But like Jackery, they too make power stations that are small like this one, all the way up to ones big enough to power your whole house. Now, I'm not here to tell you which company makes the best batteries or who to buy from. What I am here to tell you is what kind of options exist and how to get an idea of which options might work best for you. Let's look at mine for a moment. Like I said, this is the Jackery Explorer 300. It's one of the smallest power stations they make. It's got 2 wall outlets, 2 USB Type A, a USB Type C, car outlet, and that's it. With these 6 outputs, it can charge up to 6 devices at once. The number of outputs on any power station, that's pretty straightforward. You can tell just by looking at it. 6 outputs, 6 devices. But how do you tell if a battery has enough power to handle your needs? Now, allow me to get slightly technical for a second. I won't go too deep into the science of it, I swear. For one, I am not a scientist, and two, this isn't that kind of video. If you do want that kind of video, Technology Connections is a great channel. I think they just did a video maybe a month ago on wattage and energy. He goes very, very deep into how to do the mathematics of calculating your power needs and power draw and all that. So if you are interested, go check out his video. But to put it simply, everything that runs on electricity has a specific amount of power that it requires. The easiest example would be light bulbs. A 60-watt bulb will pull 60 watts of electricity when it is on. A 90-watt bulb will pull 30 more watts and use that extra energy to burn a little brighter than the 60-watt bulb. I know it's more complicated than that, but we're just gonna go with as basic as that. Watts refers to the total energy being used, and it is measured in a value of amps times volts. Amps are the total current or flow of electricity, and volts are the amount of force pushing that current through the system. But you don't need to know this equation or do any math to pick a battery. You absolutely can. You could say, okay, this is a 300 watt hour power station. My iPhone 15 Pro Max has a 17.1 watt hour battery. So 300 divided by 17.1 is 17.54 total charges of my iPhone with this Jackery Explorer 300. Or you could just go to the product page that says they estimate you'll get 16 charges of your phone. That's pretty close. That was their estimate for all phones, and they're off by one charge theoretically, which, you know, it's not going to get 17 exact charges, 17.36 or whatever it is. And that's how you should shop for it. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed with all the numbers, all the terms like watt hours, milliamp hours, 293 watt hour capacity, 300 watt inverter, 500 watt surge. That's for nerds like me. For the average consumer, the cheat sheet estimates are more than enough. I would even go so far as to say, when it comes to these lunchbox-sized power stations, you should just buy the biggest one that fits in your budget and fits in your closet. That being said, know that these smaller ones can't power something huge like your fridge. If you want a battery that you can use to power your fridge, you need to look for one that specifically says it can handle it. Looking at Jackery as an example, the smallest power station that can handle any refrigeration is the 600, and that's only a portable refrigerator, and that's only for 6 hours. It's not until you get to the 2000 where they say it can support a household refrigerator, and once again, that's only for 3 hours. As you look bigger than that, the 3000 and 5000, now you are entering the potential of whole home power solutions. But funny enough, even the biggest power station that they have, the Explorer 5000, is still considered a portable power station. It weighs 130 pounds, but it does have wheels and this very handy retractable handle. But I wouldn't expect to lift it into your car anytime soon unless you've really been hitting the gym. They work exactly like the smaller ones. They've got the wall outlets, the USB, the car charger, but these two largest models also have some tricks up their sleeve. Looking at the 3000 right above the wall outlets is this guy. And if you don't recognize it, it's probably because you don't own an RV. But if you do own an RV, this TT30 output will provide the full 25 amp power to your vehicle, no generator or campground power required. The 5000 not only has that same TT30 RV output, but also these. One input and two output that allow it to not only connect directly to your full home's power system, but also allows it to expand with more batteries to scale up to whatever power needs you may have. Now, how that system works is once again a bit complicated and technical, but to put it very simply, a certified electrician, which according to Jackery could be any certified electrician, doesn't need to be one of theirs, would install their smart transformer switch into your home, connecting it directly to your circuit. The transfer switch attaches to the Jackery Explorer 5000, and the 5000 connects to up to 10 extra battery packs that they claim can give you a total capacity of 30 plus days of power. But how do you charge that much battery? Well, you actually have several options for each power station option, including the smallest ones. They can, of course, all charge straight from the wall outlet, just like you would charge any other device you own. How long it takes to charge depends on the specific model, but generally they take just a few hours. The home batteries come with the added ability to charge from the smart switch, giving it direct power from the circuit, which makes it not only simpler, but also much faster to charge. The little guys can be charged from your car, which makes these particularly useful not only during emergencies, but for camping, picnicking, or when traveling to a location that doesn't have power readily accessible. You can charge right up while driving, even if your car only has a classic cigarette lighter outlet. It just will take a bit longer than the wall outlet. They can also all be used in conjunction with a generator. If you have a portable generator outside, you can plug these in, charge them up, and bring safe energy back inside the house. If you have a full house generator, perhaps one with a direct supply of natural gas, you can use the 5000 whole home power station system as a bridge between the generator and your sensitive devices. If it takes time for your generator to kick on, the home power station has a near instant switch that allows it to keep all of your devices on, including home computers, servers, fridges, everything, without you even noticing. It also provides a good, stable power supply that acts as a whole house surge protector in case the generator has any stability issues or surging problems. But outside of the power grid that supplies power to your home that you have to pay for every month, and generators which require fuel that costs money and create greenhouse gases, or your car that also requires fuel that costs money and creates greenhouse gases, there's one more power supply option that can be used to charge any power station, whole home or portable. I'm speaking, of course, of solar energy. When I bought my Jackery Explorer 300, it came with this, a foldable 100-watt solar panel. And I can use this panel to charge up the power station to 80% in as little as 3.5 hours. Why 80%? Well, it's a bit complicated and technical, but just know that the last 20% is always the hardest on most batteries, whether you are charging the last 80 to 100 or using the last 20 to 0 of your battery, which is why it's a good idea for long-term battery health to keep it charged above 20% at all times. If you are constantly using your phone with a battery below 20%, you are actively hurting the battery, potentially shortening its life. That's just a hot tip for you. Anyway, with this solar panel, I can, so long as I have sunshine, keep this power station charged indefinitely. As you get to the bigger and bigger power stations, you can and should utilize larger and larger solar panels all the way until you get to those big old solar panels people install on their roofs. And it's this combination that gets particularly interesting. Remember way back in the beginning of this video when I said there was a problem affecting millions of homes and they may not realize it? Well, there is a fatal flaw that has been a part of solar panel systems since the beginning. A problem that is solved by batteries. Solar panels have been installed on residential homes for almost 50 years, and I would argue that they were I won't say useless until 10 years ago, but I would say they didn't provide the service that I think a lot of people expected them to. When you think about solar panels on your roof, you may think, these prevent me from needing any power from the power grid. You may even have solar panels and be able to say that you haven't paid a penny in electric bills in years, if not decades. In fact, it is possible that you may even be saying that you've gotten money from the power company. But what's crucial to understand is that anyone with solar panels up until this point still has to take power from the power grid every single day, even if they never had to pay for a single power bill. And that is because solar panels by themselves only provide power when they are actively receiving sunlight. They don't store energy, they just soak in some sun and squeeze out some electricity. The second the sun goes down or a cloud passes by, it stops providing energy. At that moment, you are being powered entirely by the city's power grid. But if they're giving you power, why wouldn't they charge you for it? Well, anytime you are using less energy than the panels are providing to the house, all of the excess gets sent out from your house into the power grid. Your home essentially becomes a tiny power station within the full city power grid. So if you're at work for 8 hours with nobody home, a bright sunny day with no clouds, all of that solar power is going straight out of the system to help power your neighbors, city lights, the businesses, anywhere the power company supplies. And the power companies pay you for it. You make a contract with the power company when you first install the solar panels. They get any excess power when you don't need it. They send you power from the grid when you need it. Then at the end of every pay cycle, they look at how much you gave them versus how much they gave you and charge you the difference, potentially paying you if you gave more than you used. No matter what, though, even with solar panels, you have always had to be reliant on the power grid. If the grid goes down, anytime you're not getting direct sunlight, you don't have power, just like everyone else. And depending on your panels, they may even shut down along with the grid for safety reasons. Which means solar panels on homes have essentially been nothing more than discounts on your power bill. Sure, you could have gotten some tax breaks as well, maybe even added some value to the home, but in practical terms, it essentially just cuts back on some of your grid use during hours you are least likely to be using electricity. So even their impact on your carbon footprint was not as substantial as you might have thought. And that discount, sure, you would be thrilled to see a massive cut on your monthly bill, but even if the solar panels cut your monthly electric bill down to zero, the upfront cost for the panels, the installation and the maintenance is so high it could take years, if not decades, to see savings. Solar panels have, by and large, not been the solution they promised. Not to go off-grid, not to clear your carbon footprint entirely, not to erase your electric bill, not even to give you power in an emergency. That is, until now. With a full home solar and power station system, you can, for the first time, actually end your reliance on the power grid. You'll most likely still need to be connected to the grid, especially in most urban and suburban areas legally, but you can finally keep all of the power you pull from the sun and use it for yourself. This is especially useful in the age of electric vehicles. EVs have essentially the same batteries that are in here, in your phone, just lithium-ion batteries for the most part, with some exceptions. And those batteries charge the same way as anything else, except their power consumption is through the roof. Just like how the upfront and maintenance costs of solar panels cuts so deeply into the savings on your energy bill, the extra cost of most EVs, especially without any sort of tax incentives, plus maintenance, can leave you spending years driving the vehicle before you see any real savings over purchasing gasoline for a standard vehicle. But if you have solar panels on your roof combined with a battery just like this one, you will save money far faster than you would powering it off the grid, or worse, using superchargers, since those prices can fluctuate. Plus, you would actually cut into your carbon footprint. You wouldn't get rid of it entirely. The batteries alone, both in the power stations and your EV, are just terrible for the planet in the long run, but at least they aren't actively expelling greenhouse gases, so long as you ignore the cargo ships, industrial machinery, delivery trucks, and every other machine and vehicle used in the manufacturing and delivery of electric vehicles. But I would argue the real value of batteries and solar panels is not any sort of environmental agenda, and probably not a cost-saving endeavor, but the practicality of the system. It is clean, stable energy that will keep your home, devices, and even your vehicle charged whether the power grid is operational or not. If you have a cabin that is nowhere near the grid, that has never had power, this is your solution. Are you worried that you won't be able to work on your computer during a power outage? This is your solution. Are you tired of throwing away food, or God forbid, throwing away essential medications during a natural disaster? This is your solution. Start with a small one. I got this little guy because it was all I could afford at the time. Plus, I was renting an apartment. It's not like I could set up a whole home power solution in a rental. But if the power went out, I could charge my laptop, I could charge my computer, I could have lights. These things are fantastic. Not only during storms, but also camping and picnics. You can run a grill off of some of the bigger ones, backyard parties, working in the garage, or even just for peace of mind. Do yourself a favor and enter the world of portable power stations and solar panels. The barrier of entry has never been lower, and truly, they've never been more useful. If you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you enjoyed it or found it at all useful, give it a like and a subscribe to see more videos like this one. If you like creative uses for different tech, check out my video on the Genki Audio, a shockingly versatile wireless audio solution. If you're into gaming, I've got a couple videos on the Switch too. Definitely check out my advice as to whether or not you should trade in your Switch 1 when buying the Switch 2. Spoilers, don't do it. But that does it for this one. Until next time, peace.